Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about people who brag about cutting and getting really ripped without doing cardio. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on scaling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. And really, this is one of those things we shouldn't have to discuss, but unfortunately trends online, particularly out of the bodybuilding world, have caused this. And I mean, one of the most egregious examples that I remember seeing, you guys remember that, what's it, Lex Fitness or something, with his Team Boom Baby. He had his girlfriend up a few years ago, and they were talking about how she got ripped for this, whatever bodybuilding contest or Women's Physique, whatever she does. I don't know what she does. Don't really care. But the point is, he's like, oh, we didn't avoid any foods, and she didn't do any cardio and got ripped. Remember how tweaked out she seemed? Like, it almost struck me like she was on meth or something because of how tweaked out she was acting. Which, again, kind of shows, gee, how can you burn a lot of calories and keep your appetite in control without doing much activity? And that's kind of the point that you see there, that people act like this is something to brag about. Like, I'm able to find a way to starve myself while doing less activity and still get really, really lean, as if this is something that should be desirable. And that's kind of the problem I have with this, is that people, when they even discuss this, are saying, hey, they're acting as if cardio itself is something that should even be optional for fitness. Meaning, we're not even talking about for fat loss, but the very idea of cutting while skipping cardio, because you guys know me, and I changed my stance on this a few years back. I used to be somewhat anti-cardio, and then I changed my stance. I had to go with the prevailing scientific consensus that cardio is necessary for health. It's necessary for ideal health. It's necessary for ideal athleticism. And it can actually enhance, in the long term, the abilities of strength athletes. For people who actually are seeking to be as strong as possible with their weightlifting, cardio actually has benefits. And so I've started telling people they need to use cardio year-round. I don't care if you're bulking, cutting, recomping, maintaining, whatever you're doing, cardio is necessary for your health, and it's valuable for your work capacity and energy turnover. So these people are basically saying, I want to skip doing something that should not be optional for my health and prove that I can get leaner while being unhealthy. It's like, so I want to appear to be really, really healthy by being shredded, but I want to be an unhealthy piece of shit. That's basically what it's saying, and people are treating that like it's something to brag about. That's not, guys. And if you are going to do that, if someone's talking about getting really, really lean without doing cardio, they have no business talking about fitness, because that's not fitness. That's chasing body composition and even being willing to trade and throw away your health and fitness just for body composition. Well, that's not fitness, guys. That's not fitness at all. And it's scary that people talk about these things. I mean, if we wanted to compare that to something, that would be on par with saying, you know what? I'm able to get really ripped without eating any fruits or vegetables. I can lose a lot of body fat without eating fruits and vegetables. They're not necessary for fat loss. Well, that's true, but they help, because people who eat a lot of fruits and particularly vegetables tend to be fuller, right? They get better micronutrients, so they're less likely to develop a nutrient deficiency on the lower calories, right? So they're more likely to be healthy, and it makes dieting easier because they're fuller, right? So why would someone do that? Like, how is that bragging? This is the equivalent, because cardio is the same way. Cardio improves your health, and it does burn extra calories. So in other words, a person can eat, someone who does a little bit of cardio every day, doesn't even have to be a lot. Someone who does some cardio every day in addition to their lifting can eat a little more food and lose weight at the same rate. It's actually a useful tool. It's actually a useful tool, just like eating more vegetables is a useful tool for fat loss. It's not necessary, but it's helpful. And it should be required for health. You probably need to eat some fruits or vegetables every single day to be healthy, just like you should probably do some cardio every day to be healthy. But it's like, it's this either or, like, oh, I can just drop these things. I want to prove that body fat can be lost because it's just calories in, calories out without doing these really healthy things. Like, do you know how stupid that is? I mean, people really need to step back and think about people who are trying to promote this. All right, you're proving something that doesn't need to be proved. Every expert in the world will tell you that the calories in, calories out model is how fat loss occurs. These are tools that are necessary for health, and they're tools that make calories in, calories out easier to do. So to intentionally avoid them is actually absurd, and it doesn't prove that your methods are better. And here's the other thing. When you think about cardio, what else does cardio do for you? It improves overall nutrient partitioning and allows you to eat more calories. Now, if we're thinking in terms of the calories in, calories out model, if you can eat more carbs and more protein, it's going to happen. You're going to get more insulinogenic response, more IGF-1 production. All right, contrary to popular belief, that preserves muscle mass. That creates anabolic signaling in your body. Therefore, you're going to lose less muscle on the same calorie deficit. In other words, for every ounce of weight that you lose, more of it's going to be fat and less of it's going to be muscle due to your higher physical activity, allowing you to consume more foods. All right, this is a myth that actually insulinogenic foods like carbs and protein cause fat storage. That's not true. They don't stop fat loss at all. That's a complete myth. The science is completely and absolutely debunked. Lower carb, lower circulating insulin diets cause the most muscle loss on the same calorie deficit. And if you're losing more muscle, you're losing less fat. That's not desirable. So you take it to the furthest extreme. If you're trying to maximize anabolic signaling and anabolic hormones in the body, you would ideally want to take in as many carbs and as much protein as you can get away with while still losing body fat. Why? You're going to retain more muscle. And in some cases, you might even gain a little bit of muscle while losing body fat, as opposed to any dietary situation that minimizes those things. You're going to tend to lose more muscle mass when you're losing body fat. Well, that's not desirable for body composition. So when you really think of it from that perspective and you understand how this really works and you throw the bodybuilding myths to the side, cardio itself, when used as part of the larger package, can help you retain more muscle mass while you're cutting. It can also help you control appetite better because it lets you eat more food. I mean, being able to eat the more food, eating more calories, particularly more calories from protein or carbs, is multifold in its benefits. So the whole thing is, people will do this and they act like it's something to brag about. I've done this cut and I got really ripped with no cardio, as if it is a good thing. When in reality, them doing it that way, they've become less healthy, right? They could have been healthier, fitter, with a higher work capacity and lost the same amount of body fat. Had they done it the other way, they probably could have eaten a little more food, gotten better nutrition, less chance of nutritional deficiencies. Nutritional deficiencies when you're losing weight can be a problem. And they could have kept more muscle mass. So in other words, in order to do something that silly, what is it that people have done? They've sacrificed potentially muscle. They've made their cut more difficult. And they've reduced their health. They could have been healthier and had a higher work capacity and better conditioning on top of it. So it really doesn't make any sense. It's not something worth bragging about. It's basically saying I can be more masochistic because I can just get by on less food. I can control my appetite better. But at what cost? You're less healthy now. You're less athletic now. This isn't valuable. This isn't useful. If anything, this should be discouraged. And it doesn't matter that it's possible to lose fat without doing cardio. It's also possible to lose fat without eating a healthy diet of fruits and vegetables. But it's not a good idea. And it's not worth bragging about any more than someone saying, hey, I smoked a bunch of crack or meth to lose fat is worth bragging about, because that actually works too. That's not healthy fat loss. That's not healthy fat loss, is it? But it works. That's the same thing. You're compromising your health. Compromising your health to try to prove a point. It's absurdity, and that shouldn't be promoted, and that shouldn't be considered fitness. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.